Hey, welcome to the Stephanie Stevens Show, where I help you discover the power of communication and the keys that unlock the doors to freedom in every area of your life. Hello, my friend. Welcome to the Stephanie Stevens Show podcast. Thank you again for listening today. I am so excited to get to know you a little bit. This is episode 3 in my series of 3 introductory podcasts, because this whole podcasting thing is brand new to me, and I just wanted to take 3 episodes to introduce myself to you in a way that wasn't quite, TMI. Like, I didn't want to dump everything about my life or who I am or what I've done and what I'm doing. I don't want to dump all of that on you in one big giant gulp size, okay? I wanted to break it down a little bit. But this is episode 3, and in this episode, I'd like to tell you why I am passionate about speaking, encouragement, and hope, and empowerment, and communication freedom into your life every day. So that being said, if you would be so gracious and kind as to subscribe to this, you'll never miss an episode. Also, please share if you can do that. And I'd love for you to rate the podcast, especially once we get going a little bit and get to know each other and get some real kind of cool content under our belts. So thank you again for listening. Now, I am somebody who is a communications expert. I have certifications in behavioral health as well, and in counseling and in therapeutics. I'm a mom. I'm a business owner, successful business, broadcaster of 25 years, blah, 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 like on and on it goes. I was a pageant queen just once. Don't judge. That story is in episode 2. So if you haven't heard it, please go back. And no, I never wore a bikini on stage. I do have boundaries. There were certain things I would do and would not do. And that is one of the things I would not and will never do. Thank you very much. There was a fitness portion in that particular pageant, which is why I decided to enter it. But I did that a little bit on a dare, but it taught me some valuable lessons about public speaking, and also really about empowerment and platforms. Because you always have to have a platform when you launch into something like that. And that means you are required. You're not requested to. You are required to speak on that one thing and advocate it for the entire year that you're a title holder. And so my platform was autism and related conditions, and finding help and hope and support for those who really didn't have a voice of their own. And that's why I am so passionate about communication, because there is freedom in communication. Communication, now let's be clear, it comes in different forms. There's written communication, there's verbal communication, there's artistic expression communication, singing and dancing and painting and sketching and artwork. There's all of that. There's nonverbal body communication. Also, and then there's silent communication in which you're utilizing the power of your own energetics, or your prayer, or your mind, or your meditative processes. I mean, that genre of communication is much broader than most people think. And get this, did you know that most of the communication that you engage in every day, probably millions of times a day, is actually unconscious? So it's buried below or beneath your perception, your conscious perceptions and processing. Most communication happens unconsciously. And even if we just start there, we can start opening up the world in a brand new place, because every time you enter a space, a little piece of you enters it before your physical body does. And that's where the rubber meets the road, and how you show up in any situation, whether it's verbally or in a written format or in any other way in which you can and are able to communicate. I want to help you stretch beyond the parameters of what you think is possible in your levels of communication, because your unique soul, my friend, is here on this planet for a very special reason. And it's purposeful and it's intentional. And it's for such a time as this. So where we find ourselves in this kooky, crazy, sometimes upside down world we live in right now, you're here because you need to be. You're here because you have something that is living and breathing and pulsating on the inside of you that you may have not even tapped into yet. I'm getting chills as I say this because I'm so excited for you. And I'm so excited for you to start giving a little bit more every day of what lives on the inside of you out into the realms in which you have influence. Maybe it's your job or your career or your art expression. Maybe it's your parenting. Or maybe if you're not a parent, it's in your social relationships. Maybe it's in the idea that lives on the inside of you that you haven't even verbalized yet. You're a little bit afraid to because you don't know if it's a good idea. You don't really want anybody to laugh at you. You certainly don't want anyone to steal it. And you're just not sure what to do with it, but it's there. It's alive. It's well. It's got energy attached to it. You don't know what to do with it. I want to help you tap in and find what to do with it. And so really that's why I'm developing this podcast. It's because I think I have something to give you on a daily basis. Maybe a word of encouragement, a little bit of hope, a key, a takeaway for the day that will reside inside of you for the entirety of the day and will help you in all of your abilities of communication and expression. Okay? And again, I have learned both the hard way and I've learned the empowered way, really how far you can go in life with some decent communication skills. And they're hard to come by. You don't really learn communication skills just in school. You certainly don't learn them on the job unless you've been given specified training, and you most definitely don't learn them in your family dynamics. Most of the time, most people cannot turn to their family and say, yeah, I really learned how to be a stellar communicator in my family dynamic. Typically, that's a trial and error thing, right? So, but in schools, I went to broadcasting school. I went to college to become a broadcaster and a journalist. And even I didn't learn how to communicate in a way that would further everything that lived on the inside of me, or that would advance or would expand all that I'm here to do and be. I learned how to shoot a package, and for television, I learned how to write, but I didn't learn how to do interpersonal communication very well, and I didn't learn how to find new ways of being a fantastic, strong communicator. And there is endless opportunity if you can become a powerful, clear communicator. Yeah. So I'm excited for you. Thank you for sharing this time with me. I can't wait to get to know you a little bit more. Again, please share this, subscribe to it. If you'd be so kind to even rate it as we continue to provide content, and as I start getting into some of the tips and the tools that I think will really benefit you on a daily basis, I would love for you to go ahead and rate your thoughts on this podcast so far. And my friend, as always, thank you for listening. Have a wonderful and empowered day, and I can't wait to connect with you on the next episode. Thanks so much for listening to The Stephanie Stevens Show. Please remember to subscribe so we can stay connected and you never miss an episode of the podcast. Oh, and if you haven't left a rating yet, please be sure to do so. It helps incredible people like you find the podcast. We'll see you on the next episode.